Understanding the alchemy of relationships is about helping us come together with others in such a way that we can co-create something better than what we can do on our own. In ancient times, the Atlanteans were said to have an advanced technology and power supply based on crystals. Dreams can be such a useful guide in our life. They can help us solve problems, receive insights and higher teachings from higher planes, learn about ourselves, and so much more. I'm Dr. Teresa Bullard. In this episode, I'd like to share with you some of what I've learned about our life in the dream time. Dreams can be such a useful guide in our life. They can help us solve problems, receive insights and higher teachings from higher planes, learn about ourselves, and so much more. So I'd like to share some useful methods with you for becoming more in tune with your dream time. When we talk about dreams, the first question that often comes up is, does everybody dream? Some people swear that they don't dream, but science shows dreaming is a part of our sleep cycle. Even if we aren't aware of it or remember our dreams when we wake up, we all dream. Everyone goes through a couple of REM cycles at night, which is marked by rapid eye movement during our sleep. And during this time, the brain is firing off with similar patterns to when we're conscious and awake, only in this case, we're dreaming. But for the most part, our brain can't tell the difference between dreaming and wakefulness. Are crystals alive? Most definitely, crystals are alive and they grow. They have their own blueprint, kind of like our DNA. Not only do they have a blueprint, but this blueprint is 100% governed by sacred geometry principles. We see this in the crystal lattice structure, with how the atoms or molecules are arranged inside. Marcel Vogel, a research scientist who worked for IBM for 27 years and received many patents throughout his life, he went on to discover many amazing properties of crystals. He determined that the geometric structure of crystals is according to the Tree of Life pattern from Kabbalah. And because of this, it caused the flow and storage of life force energy in the form of negative ions. He's quoted as saying that the crystal is a neutral object whose inner structure exhibits a crystalline state of perfection and balance. When it is precisely cut in the proper geometric form, and when the human mind enters into relationship with this structural perfection, in the vibration of love, the crystal emits a vibration which extends and amplifies the power and grasp of the user's mind. In other words, our thoughts and intent can be amplified by the crystal. Based on his research into what's called ether physics, Marcel Vogel developed what is now known as the Vogel-shaped crystal to harness this ability more powerfully. Sacred geometry is the expression of divine energies within the physical. As the frequency of pure divine energy slows down, it comes into the material lattice, and it forms according to specific proportions, harmony, and types of symmetry. And through alchemy, we can learn to harness these energies to accelerate our progression as individuals and as a society. I see alchemy as the epitome of integrating science, metaphysics, and consciousness together. It's the art and science of transformation and transmutation, or in other words, of changing something into something else that's even better. Some of the most innovative scientists were alchemists. People like Isaac Newton, Roger Bacon, Francis Bacon, Leonardo da Vinci, Robert Boyle, Paracelsus, Nikola Tesla, and Wolfgang Pauli, they all studied and were inspired by alchemy. And most of our modern-day sciences were developed out of the ancient traditions of alchemy, including physics, chemistry, astronomy, biology, allopathic medicine, pharmacology, psychology, and many holistic health practices. Where modern science has taken a purely materialist approach, alchemy is intimately connected to the philosophies of Hermeticism, mythology, and spirituality. Not only does alchemy hold the secrets to understanding and harnessing this process of transformation at many different levels, but I believe it's also the key to bridging the fields of science, spirit, and consciousness again in a very practical way. Within our society, we might compare the old form of the caterpillar to the structures and institutions born out of the Industrial Revolution. These systems dominated our way of perceiving and operating for a long time. But since the new millennium, these structures are starting to crumble, and we've been shifting into a new paradigm way. We see this breakdown happening within the worlds of finance, government, business, education, and many other societal systems. Things are really in flux right now. And visionaries of all fields are literally looking for the next big disruptive idea. We want change to happen, and there's a lot of progress being made behind the scenes. But there's also those who don't want change. They want things to stay the same according to the old paradigm. We can compare people within society to the cells of the caterpillar. Some people think the old structure worked just fine and that it provided safety, security, and control. Everyone knew their place and their duty. These people tend to cling to that old structure and fight for its survival. Other people feel the system is flawed and are ready to find a better way of operating. These are the innovators, the visionaries, and the change agents who actively work for progress. Then we have the people who fall somewhere in the middle, who tend to go with the status quo. Most of the time, the comfort zone wins out, because change requires a lot of energy and discipline. But when the comfort zone gets ripped away from us, like what happens in the calcination stage of alchemy, things stop feeling so safe and the system becomes agitated. Well, in the work of Carl Jung, the shadow side is defined as the parts of us that we haven't accepted or acknowledged. We either deny them or we just don't believe they're part of us. The shadow side includes things that we don't like about ourselves and that we try to hide. But it's not just the bad things or the things we fear. The shadow side also contains many of our gifts and things that we admire in others, but we don't realize that these qualities also exist within us. For example, sometimes we see other people doing great things and we lift them up on a pedestal. But when we do the same, we may not recognize that we too are capable of those great things. We might not see it as a gift that we have. What we must realize is that if we can admire it in another, then it's also part of us. The shadow side is full of light and gifts that we haven't yet acknowledged or claimed within ourselves. We have to accept that these are part of us too. Now, if we judge someone as less than or better than, well, that means that we're also judging ourselves as less than or better than. Only when we can stop projecting it outwardly and look inwardly and then accept this is me, can we then progress in our transformational journey. Maybe it's them, but it's also me. We're all one, and the world is our mirror. So we can ask, if I don't like what I'm seeing out there, what do I need to change within me to shift it? And if I like what I see within certain people, what must I do to reclaim it for myself?